What's going on, YouTube? It is about 2 p.m. here on Thursday, November the 3rd, and it is warm out here. It's like 67 degrees, but it's been raining on and off here in Ohio. So this video is going to be dealing with winterizing your truck, because eventually all this rain is going to turn to that nice white stuff that we're all looking forward to. So we're going to talk about winterizing here. I did a video last year that was kind of like this, and I didn't review it, so I can't remember exactly what's in it. But I'll link it in the description of this one. So between that video and this one, we should be able to get you set up for wintertime. And it's going to be like a two-part video. The first part of this is going to be, I'm going to go over some personal items for you, and then some items for the truck to keep. And then I'm going to take you outside and show you some things that's a good idea to make sure you keep an eye on and keep checked and all that stuff. So let's get into the personal stuff first. And again, if some of this is repeat from last year, I apologize, but, you know, it's all valid stuff. So, first thing you'll need is pretty self-explanatory, is a snow shovel, because you're going to have to dig yourself out of a hairy situation at some point. So you're going to want a snow shovel in there. So if you haven't done this already, you think about putting these things in. Grab your snow shovel, keep some ice melt. Now, I grabbed the ones that look like milk jugs. They're like 5 or 10 pounds each, I think. And some guys will use a 5-gallon bucket. I've seen them. They'll strap it to their catwalk. But doing that, there's too much risk of water getting in there, and then it just ruins the bucket. And with the jugs, you can keep them inside the truck so you know they're dry, and you don't have, they'll be okay to use whenever it's time to use them. So I recommend the jugs, but you can do whatever you want. An extra broom's not a bad idea, just because I keep a regular broom for sweeping out trailers, but then I keep a broom just for snow removal, for pulling snow off the steps, pulling it off the windshields, pulling it off the hood, off the mirrors, off the catwalk. And it's a fine tip broom. So this way it doesn't scratch the paint up, and it stays clean, and it's only for snow removal. So an extra broom is not a bad idea. And if you've got a snowsuit, that's another good thing to keep with you, because if you have to fix something outside the truck, and you got to lay down in the snow or whatever, it'll keep you nice and dry. Which brings me to my next point, is extra clothes. Now, if you're an over-the-road guy, sure, you're going to have a bunch of clothes with you, but it's not a bad idea to keep a few extra pairs of socks, sweatshirts, regular pants, just in case you're doing something and that stuff gets soaking wet. You'll have extra clothes to change into, aside from what you would normally carry with you. And then obviously things like, you want keep extra food, things that if you have a microwave that you normally cook with, if you can't run the truck, if the truck breaks down, you can't use the microwave, keep like Pop-Tarts, crackers, canned food, things that don't require you to heat it up. And I know it sounds gross, but actually you could use those, the Chef Boyardees, the Pop Tops, they have them in the cans, or you can buy the little tubs, get those at Sam's Club. It sounds gross to eat them cold, and I mean, you can do it. They're not horrible. I've done it. But, in a pinch, at least you'll have something to eat. And you want to make sure you carry extra water, extra blankets, really good pair of gloves to keep your hands warm and dry, a tassel cap or a ski mask if you got one of those. And, this way, just anything that you're going to need to keep you warm. Or, worst case scenario, if you come across somebody else who's stuck and they need a hand, you'll have extra things maybe to help somebody else out. So, that's pretty much all I got as far as things for you. Now, as far as things to keep in the truck, first off, tire chains. Now, depending on where you're running at, if you run west, now chain laws are already in effect, so do yourself a favor, if you can and your company allows it, because each state is different, keep chains for all four drives in there, because some states don't require it, some do. This way you have them all, you're covered, and you're good to go. And a tow chain or a tow strap is another good thing to have with you. This way, if you're stuck somewhere and somebody's going to pull you out, if they don't have a chain or strap, you do. So that's definitely a good thing to keep in the truck too. Keep some anti-gel in there. If you keep an eye on the weather forecast, if you know it's going to get really, really frigid, when you fuel, dump some anti-gel in your tanks, man. And this way you're already prepared for it. and it won't catch you off guard. And keep some WD-40, or what I like is PB Blaster for your fifth wheel. Because in the wintertime, you know, you guys know how underneath there, I mean, that pin likes to seize up and stick and everything else. So you want to keep that thing lubricated underneath there. So WD-40 will work. I've actually heard people say you can use diesel fuel for that, but let's face it, you ain't going to be out there spraying diesel fuel. So WD-40, PB Blaster, I really like PB Blaster. That's a good one. Make sure that pin stays lubricated. And one other big thing is for you guys that have the Webasto's or the S-bar heaters, the bunk heaters, check them now. Make sure they work. You know, because the last thing you want to do is wait till December when it's 20 degrees out and you're like, okay, time to use the bunk heater. And you go to check it and it doesn't work. So check it now. Make sure your bunk heater is working. There's a filter, a fuel filter on those that likes to gum up. Most of the time it's from improper shutdown or improper operation. So, and a lot of times when the fuel, if it doesn't drain back and then it sits there for a long period of time and everything else, it kind of gums that thing up. So when you go to use it, it won't start. And normally you can tell if you're going to have issues with that. When you start your bunk heater, you'll see it'll just smoke like a mofo. So check your bunk heater, make sure that thing's working. And you guys have APUs, make sure your APU's working. You know, have a PM done on it if you need to. You know, make sure you keep up with the oil level and everything in the APU. Make sure that thing's running. So that pretty much sums it up for personal items and things to keep in the truck. So we're going to jump outside here since I'm disconnected from my trailer. I'll tell you why in another video. But we're going to jump outside. We're going to look at some things on the truck that you need to keep an eye out for winter. So let me jump outside. I'll be right back with you. Alright, so I got the interstate behind me, so I apologize if it sounds like I'm yelling here, but I want to give you a few things to check underneath the hood and around the outside of the truck for wintertime too. First thing is, it's kind of like a pre-trip, really, guys. I mean, get under there, look for leaks, oil, antifreeze, gear lube, anything that you see dripping that should not be dripping. Inspect really good for leaks. Check all of your air lines and everything that come down, because in the wintertime, this stuff is plastic. It gets brittle and it cracks. So check all your air lines. Make sure everything's secure. Make sure nothing's rubbing. Make sure everything looks good. You know, and obviously check your engine. Make sure there's no leaks or anything like that. Now your coolant, if you can, you want to get what you can probably get them at like Harbor Freight or an auto parts store. You want to get a hydrometer. Check the freeze point of your coolant. You don't want coolant that's good to 10 degrees. You want something that's like minus 30, minus 40 degrees. Because coolant that only protects at 10 degrees ain't going to do you any good in the wintertime. So you want to check all your hoses, check your belts, and we're going to go around the other side. I'm going to show you something with your belts in a minute. You know, check your steering box, check your steering shaft. You know, make sure everything's good there. Check your hoses, your air lines that are supplying air to your brake chambers, and obviously check your brakes. Make sure your brakes are okay. And let's go over here. I want to show you something about your belts. I'll show you an easy way to check them. You can really, there's two things that I always do, well, three things. There's a visual check. You want to look at the belt, make sure it's not cracked or brittle, or make sure it's still there. What you want to do is you can grab it and you can twist it. Just give it a little twist. It should twist, but it should have pressure on it. If this thing's flopping around like a fish, then the belt could be stretched out. And the other thing is, if you can grab it, if you see right down here where my finger is, there's one here and there's one here. Those are your belt tensioners. Grab that belt and pull on it. It should be really tight. I mean, you should be able to see those tensioners move. And I can't do it with holding the phone, but if those tensioners don't move, then chances are they're bad and they're going to need replaced. So you want to make sure you got good belts are in good condition and your tensioners are working, because the last thing you want to do is have either A, have a squealing belt, or B, have a belt that's worn out and ready to break. So you don't want that. Again, air lines to your brake chambers. Check your brake chambers. Make sure you don't have any air leaks. One big thing too, guys, check your tire pressure. Make sure your tire pressure is good, because when you start getting into cold weather, your tires are going to fluctuate up and down in pressure. Like mine, I've been checking them pretty much every day. So you want to make sure that your tires are good. and good in pressure and in good condition, which obviously you guys know the deal with my tires, but I'll address that in another video. Another thing that you want to keep an eye on, very important thing, well, in my case, air drains. Check your drains. Make sure you're draining your air tanks regularly. You don't want moisture in there because that can cause problems. This one, on this particular truck, that's the drain for my transmission. So you definitely want to be draining your air tanks regularly. Another thing too, these plastic airlines, these airlines suck. It's just like the airlines underneath your hood. In the wintertime, these airlines, you know, they get really cold and then they get brittle and then they crack and they bust, and now you got air leaks and you got problems, and nobody wants that. If you can, it's probably a good idea to replace them with the rubber ones because those are more efficient, which actually in another 2 or 3 weeks I'm going to replace mine. And another thing too, when I was talking about the fifth wheel, I don't know if you can see it, if you look up underneath there, that's where all your release is and all the levers and the pivot points for that. If that thing sticks, that's where you want to spray, up underneath there, and keep that thing clean and lubricated. And if it is stuck, spray under there and just work your handle back and forth. And you want to actually keep the top of your fifth wheel, keep your plate lubricated, because a dry fifth wheel can cause steering issues and handling issues, stability issues, and you definitely don't want that in the wintertime. And another thing that I always look for is check your differentials, look for pinion leaks, and the other one, I'll give you a tip here. You can kind of see it right here. I don't know, well, that right there, that's surface rust, but if you see a lot of red dust around there, that's a good indication you got U-joints going bad. So it's probably going to be needing some U-joints soon. So keep an eye on that. Check your drive line. And another thing too, kind of going back to what I said a little bit ago, check all your airlines that are supplying air anywhere to your brake chambers, and check going to your airbags. Make sure they're not, you know, cracked, they're not rubbing anywhere, make sure nothing's shifted. You want to check all that stuff. Just make sure it's in good working order, because the last thing you want to do is get stuck out here. I mean, especially like doing a pre-trip, you know. Another thing, you guys like me that got APUs, check that APU. My fairing's in the way here, but you can check your oil level. But take a flashlight, look down in there, make sure you don't have any coolant leaks. Look on the ground, look on the bottom of the case, make sure nothing's wet down there. If you see something, you know, address it, because you don't want to break down. Another important thing is your exhaust vent for your bunk heater. Make sure that thing is pointing away from the truck. You don't want that thing pointed up underneath. I've seen them plenty of times running underneath the truck, and you don't want that. So, and again, I mean, you can see here all your airlines running back, supplying your airbags and everything. Check all that stuff, man. Airline for your fifth wheel slide, make sure that thing's good. So just check everything, man. Tires, brakes, check it all. It's basically like an expanded pre-trip, really. And no, I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and tell you I check this stuff every day, but it's very important that you do. And one other thing, it's not a bad idea to keep extra wiper blades, and definitely keep washer solvent, because you're going to need that. So let me button this hood up, and I'll get back inside and we'll finish this up. Alright, well, we're back here in the truck, and let's just wrap this thing up here. I hope you guys found that informative. For those of you who aren't really mechanically inclined, I hope, you know, maybe I was able to teach you something there. And one thing I did forget to mention, you want to make sure is one very important thing to check is your batteries. If you have the ability to do it, and you know how to do it, take the cover off. Look at your batteries. You know, not a bad idea to get them load tested if they've been in there for a while. But just look at the batteries. Make sure none of them are wet. Sometimes you can smell them if they leak. But look for corrosion around your battery terminals. Make sure you check that stuff, because leaking battery and a cold day equals no start. So you don't want any battery issues or anything like that. So make sure you keep an eye on your batteries. Check them. Make sure they're in good working order. Other than that, I mean, I'm sure there's things that I missed that, you know, I can't always think of everything. I wish I could, but hopefully for you guys, you know, that don't have a lot of mechanical knowledge. Hopefully the outside stuff kind of opens your eyes a little bit. And, you know, other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it. So, hopefully this helped you out. Like I said, I linked the other video in with this one. And I apologize this was so long, but it seems like that's just the nature of the beast anymore. The videos are getting longer and longer. So, with that being said, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, helpwithtrucking@hotmail.com. Feel free to leave a comment. Anybody that can think of anything that I may have forgotten, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And I guess that's about it. So until next time, everybody be good, be smart, be safe, and we'll see you down the road later on.